Hey everyone, and a huge welcome. Especially if you're a new cat owner, you are in the perfect place. Today, we're going to talk about some of those super common, kind of confusing moments that happen between us and our new cats. And hey, if you've ever felt a little lost trying to figure them out, I promise you are in very good company. Okay, the first and most important thing to get out of the way is this. It is completely normal to feel confused by your cat sometimes. They just operate on a totally different wavelength than we do. So this isn't about what you've done wrong, not at all. It's about learning to speak their language so you can build an amazing bond together. So let's get right to the heart of it. Pretty much every frustration a new owner feels doesn't come from having a bad cat. It's just a communication gap. You know, it's like we're trying to have a conversation, but we're speaking two completely different languages. So often, what looks to us like being naughty or standoffish is really just our cat trying to tell us something super important in the only way they know how. So think of this as your personal translation guide. We're going to start decoding those signals so you can really hear what your cat is trying to say. And a great place to start is right at the food bowl. Seriously, what happens at mealtime can tell you so much about how your cat is feeling and what they need to be comfortable in their world. So have you seen this one? You put down a nice, full bowl of food, and your cat carefully picks out the kibble, drops it on the floor, and then eats it. It seems, well, messy and kind of weird. But it turns out there's a really specific and fascinating reason for it, and it has absolutely nothing to do with table manners. This is where our two languages really clash. What we see is just a messy eater, but what they're feeling is something else entirely, a kind of sensory overload. The problem isn't the food, it's the bowl. And this whole thing actually has a name: whisker fatigue. A cat's whiskers are like these incredibly fine-tuned antennas. They're constantly feeding information back to the brain. So when a cat has to stick their head into a deep, narrow bowl, those sensitive whiskers get bent and pushed back over and over. It's actually really uncomfortable, even stressful for them. The simple fix? A wide Charlot dish. It can make a world of difference, almost instantly. And while we're talking about food, let's tackle a myth that's been around forever. You've seen it in every cartoon, right? That classic image of a happy cat lapping up a little saucer of milk. It seems like the ultimate cozy treat, but is it actually good for them? Well, the short answer is not really. See, as kittens grow up and stop nursing, their bodies pretty much stop making the enzyme they need to digest lactose, the sugar in milk. So for most adult cats, that saucer of milk can actually cause a lot of tummy trouble, like bloating and diarrhea. It's a sweet image, for sure, but it's one that's best left in the storybooks. A bowl of fresh water is always the best bet. Okay, so let's move from food to another huge topic: personal space and how we handle our cats. This is so fundamental to building trust, and honestly, there's some really big misunderstandings out there. This quote from the Humane Society of Huron Valley is so powerful because it gets right to the heart of a major mistake: scruffing. A lot of people think grabbing a cat by the scruff of the neck is a harmless way to control them, like their mom would have done. But for an adult cat, it means something completely different. You see, while a mother cat does carry her tiny kittens that way, that whole instinctual response just vanishes once they get a little older. For a grown-up cat, being grabbed like that signals something terrifying is happening. They don't feel disciplined, they feel like they're being attacked. That calmness people sometimes see isn't calm at all. It's often just a fear response where they completely shut down. So what do we do instead? It's so beautifully simple. We give them a choice. The entire foundation of your bond is built on trust, and trust is built on choice. When you let your cat decide when to approach and when to leave, you're speaking their language loud and clear. You're telling them, "You are safe here with me." All right, now let's zoom in on the little guys. Kittens. Their behavior can be some of the most confusing of all, mostly because they're just figuring out how the world works, and we're their main teachers. Kitten biting? It can be a little shocking, right? But it's almost never coming from a place of real aggression. For a kitten, their mouth is like a Swiss Army knife. Biting is how they say, "Hey, that was too much," or "Let's play fight." It's how they practice controlling their bite strength, how they soothe their sore gums when they're teething, and just how they learn about stuff. So here's our positive roadmap for how to deal with it. The key word is redirect, not punish. The number one rule is to teach them that our hands are for gentle pets, not for wrestling. So when they do bite your hand, you don't yell, you just make a little ouch sound and immediately redirect that biting instinct onto a toy they are allowed to chomp on. Every time you do that, you're patiently teaching them the rules of the house without breaking their spirit. Another signal we totally misread is hiding. Oh man, it's so easy to feel rejected when your new cat disappears under the bed. But for a cat, hiding is a crucial survival skill. It's their way of finding a safe little bubble where they can decompress from something scary or stressful, or even if they're not feeling well. It's not about you, it's about them trying to feel safe. All right, let's bring this all home. We've talked about food, we've talked about handling, about decoding all these little signals. So what's the big picture here? What's the main takeaway?
Here's the truth. Nobody expects you to be a perfect cat owner from day one. That's just not realistic. The real goal is to change your mindset, to become a curious observer, a patient student of this amazing little creature you've invited into your life. Just watch them. Listen to what they're telling you with their body. Every tiny change you make based on what you see will make your bond that much stronger.
And I just want to leave you with this final thought. That overwhelming love you feel for your new cat right now, that's just the starting point. When you put in the time to learn their language and respect who they are, you're building a foundation for a friendship that's only going to get deeper and more rewarding for years and years to come.